lovers. We're talking about the big fight, the main card event tomorrow versus Henry Cejudo versus Aljamain Sterling. I'm very excited about this fight. I think that it hasn't gotten as much hype as I would expect for what this fight really is. In many ways, it's kind of like the old guard versus the new guard. So you have in Henry Cejudo, just an athlete and a competitor that we haven't seen, in the same way from anyone else. He is so unique. He is a smack talker. He gets in your head. He has a bigger than life personality, even though he stands at 5'4". He is someone that is going to come into a room. He's going to make you take notice, and he has the resume to back it up. We're talking about someone who was the flyweight and the bantamweight champion. So he held both of those titles simultaneously. He also defended those titles as well. So he's already a part of an elite group. And then you tack on that he's also an Olympic gold medalist in wrestling. So this man has a resume that really speaks for itself. He's taken 3 years away from the sport. So everyone is really wondering, does he still have it? Could he even be better than he was before? He's since moved into coaching. I actually enjoy watching a lot of his fight breakdowns and, his analysis of fighters' weaknesses and how they can go and win fights. And then you have Aljamain Sterling, who kind of came into the belt in a really sort of extreme fashion. So he ended up getting a win against Peter Yan due to a disqualification, which was a foul. And folks kind of dubbed it, he got an Oscar for really making it seem like that he couldn't continue. But no matter the outcome of his original title fight, he is the champ, and he has since shown himself to be an amazing champion, and one that I think is much better than I would have thought he would be coming from that type of win. So he since went to completely win against Peter Yan again in order to defend his title. Since then, he's defended the belt 3 times, which already is a peak for that division. He's fought TJ Dillashaw. I already mentioned he won against Yan. He actually has the most win in the bantamweight division, and I think I have it here at 13. He's 22-3. So this is a bad man, and I think some of the original way he came into his championship actually overshadows the fact that he's in many ways like one of the most dominant champs that we've seen in this particular division. And so when I say it's the old guard versus the new guard, I really do mean that. And I can't wait to see the fight. I hope that everyone is going to be watching it along with me. And I'm torn, really on who I think is going to be able to get this win off. It reminds me, so when I was looking at some of their stats, what stood out to me is that Henry is 8-1 from a TKO perspective. So he's like knocking people out. His striking power is true. It's deadly. He's quick on his feet, in addition to, of course, being able to wrestle. But then you look at Aljamain Sterling, and he's 8-0 with submissions. So this matchup, I think, is going to be really interesting. I kind of think that if Aljamain is going to win, he's going to have to be able to utilize something that is a weakness for Henry. So, I mean, everyone already knows Sterling is, truly a submission expert. And if he gets Henry's back through some way, shape, or form, I think he has a really good chance to potentially submit him. But Henry likely knows this. And so, if he tries to keep the fight on the feet, then there's a chance that Aljamain could be knocked out similar to some of the other folks that, he's already fought. The interesting thing about Henry Cejudo is that He's so experienced, has done this for so long. His fight IQ, I think, is really strong, you know, looking at some of the breakdowns that he does. And so I think if he's truly prepared for this fight, I think he can get a win. But the interesting that I kind of mentioned earlier about Henry is that he's supremely confident. And so I think if he underestimates Aljamain at all, then it could potentially be a submission for Aljamain. So if I had to, you know, put money on one of the fighters, I would give a slight edge to Henry because of the experience, because he has wrestling as well as deadly striking. He's super fast, and he hasn't walked away from the game in any sense. You know, he's been coaching, been training, been preparing for this for over a year. When you hear him talk, he just has that sort of edge and will to win that I think mentally is going to be so important for a fight like this. Whereas Aljamain, I think, is so deadly as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if I'm wrong. But I think if Aljamain gets the win, it's because maybe Henry underestimated him in some way, didn't respect his game enough, didn't respect his submission game enough. And I know that Aljamain is going to continuously be looking for the way to win. It's similar to the Usman and Leon fight, where Usman, of course, was, you know, at least in the first fight, was very much so winning the fight. Leon was looking for the opportunity to take Usman down with that head kick. It's something that he prepared for. It's something that he knew could potentially show up in the fight. And so I think if Aljamain has something like that in his back pocket, that could spell a submission for Henry Cejudo. But again, if I had to edge it a little bit one way or another, I would give a slight edge to Henry just because of his experience, because of the mentality that he's coming into the fight with, and because if he keeps the fight on his feet, which I believe he can. Now, I will say in the interview with DC earlier, he claimed that he had never been taken down before, that some people just went to his legs. I haven't confirmed that one way or another, but taking him at his word, it likely is going to be difficult to even try to get him down. So if he can keep the fight on his feet, I think he can eke out a win.